Welcome to the Joy of Cruising podcast with your host, award-winning author Paul C. Thornton, a weekly conversation with the amazing cruisers featured in the Joy of Cruising trilogy, comprised of The Joy of Cruising, Cruising Interrupted, and new release, The Joy of Cruising Again. Each book is a compilation of features about cruisers and cruise and travel personalities from around the world. It's the next best thing to cruising, hearing about cruising from the unique and diverse perspectives of Paul's amazing guests.
Hello, passionate cruisers. This is Paul. And this week on the Joy of Cruising podcast, I am delighted to welcome Lisa McLean, LeBoat, Marketing Manager for North America. LeBoat is the market leader in providing luxury houseboat locations on the beautiful rivers, lakes, and canals of Europe and Canada. They have the world's largest fleet of luxury houseboats and the widest choice of fabulous boating destinations to choose from. LeBoat has been at this a long time, over 50 years experience on the water. Here's the part that fascinated me when I first heard of the boat from a previous guest on the Joy of Cruising podcast. You don't need a license or prior experience to be the captain of your own houseboat. As Lisa will explain, LeBoat conducts a pre-departure briefing with you, explaining safety, controls, and maneuvering the boat, how onboard features of the boat work, and even take you for a test drive. I first heard about LeBoat from Judy Cohen, Traveling Judy, when she was on the show in December. I featured Judy in Cruising Interrupted, and while she is one of the most prolific world travelers I know, Judy enthralled me talking about her return to cruising during the COVID lockdown in Canada, where she lives, and one of several places in the world LeBoat operates.
It was with LeBoat on the Rideau Canal. LeBoat operates luxury houseboats in various parts of the world. They have, at the time that I did it, they had over 650 houseboats.
Educate me. What's the difference between a houseboat and barge cruising?
A houseboat, in this particular case with LeBoat, you captain your own boat. So when you arrive there, we don't have boating licenses. We never had any boating experience. We arrived there and they gave us about 2 hours of training, safety training and operational training. And then they send you out and away you go. And you learn to maneuver through the locks and get into the various ports on the way.
Get out. That sounds amazing.
Yeah. And so, and the reason that they can do it without requiring a license is that the speed is moderated. I think it goes at 10 knots. So it's really slow cruising. But the houseboat was wonderful. We did that with our family. And during COVID, we couldn't do anything else. We wouldn't go anywhere else with anybody. So we took our family unit, and they also allow pets. So we were able to take our family dog.
But now this wasn't it. It wasn't overnight, right? It was just
it was. We did 4 nights, but you can do 3 nights, 4 nights, 5 nights, 7 nights on the houseboat.
They cook their own food. Judy said the kitchen is nicer than the one I have at home. I'm anxious to speak with Lisa and to have the listeners of the Joy of Cruising get the inside scoop on this unique way to cruise with family and friends. Welcome, Lisa McLean, LeBoat, Marketing Manager, North American, to the Joy of Cruising podcast.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having us on the air. We look forward to talking to you and your listeners and telling you all about LeBoat.
All right. So how you doing?
I'm doing great. The sun is shining. Spring is in the air. Spring is arriving soon, and so is boating season. So super excited to tell everyone about our product and welcome them on board this summer.
Now, you say sun is shining. Where are you located?
So I'm located in Ontario. So at our LeBoat base in Smith Falls, which is about an hour from our capital city of Ottawa.
Okay. Well, sun is shining here as well. I'm in North Carolina. So before we talk about LeBoat, tell our listeners about yourself. Where you're from. Just told us you live in Ontario. Your professional background. Anything you would like to share.
Great. Okay. Well, I've been in the travel industry for just over 20 years now. As you know, my name is Lisa, and I live in Ontario, Canada, which is a beautiful province to live in and explore. So we're very much outdoor society. We enjoy long winters inside, but once the summer hits, we're outside looking for our next outdoor adventure. We're also big travelers. So in the winter times, we do spend a lot of time booking cruises down south or in the Caribbean. And super excited to be working with Le Boat to offer people cruises in Europe as well as in our own backyard on the Rideau Canal and the Trent Severn Waterway, which is closer to
booking
Toronto.
Cruises down south. You're talking about cruises for you personally?
In general, love to get away for the winter time. So I know Canadians in general are big on a bigger ship, or they spend lots of time in Mexico going away. So we're just here to offer opportunities for people to start thinking about doing a cruise in Europe or doing a cruise in their own backyard in Canada.
Because I do ask every guest about their cruising background. So other than Le Boat, have you been on a cruise?
Yes, I was very fortunate to work for a sister company called Quark Expeditions, and they do cruises in Antarctica and the Arctic. So I've been very fortunate to do a couple of cruises to Antarctica, which is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. So very privileged to work for Quark Expeditions for 7 years and work as the director of marketing and e-commerce for that. So lovely cruising in Antarctica. And they also offer fantastic cruises to Greenland, Svalbard, and the North Pole. So very unique cruising opportunities with Quark Expeditions as well.
Wow. I ask every guest what's on their cruise bucket list, and many of them mention Antarctica, and it's also on my own cruise bucket list, and you've been there twice.
Yeah, I can say it is a spectacular destination, and I think everyone should go there at least once. There's nothing like seeing 40-foot icebergs the size of a skyscraper. It's so peaceful, and you'll never forget sitting in a penguin colony of over 100,000 penguins all around you. So if you love nature and outdoor adventures, you definitely are going to love Antarctica. I was very fortunate as well to do an African safari, and I think Antarctica even topped the African safari. So I would suggest everyone check out Quark Expeditions and add Antarctica to your 2025 bucket list as well.
Wow, African safari and Antarctica, both on my bucket list and on the bucket lists of many of the passionate travelers that I host.
I was very fortunate to do a repositioning once from Vancouver to Seattle. So that was my first cruise. So I didn't really get that much time cruising, but did have a lovely time enjoying the shows and the meals on board. But Antarctica is a small ship expedition, so it was a much different experience. And like I said, I'll always forget, and I still have Antarctica on my bucket list to do in 2025 as well. I haven't been back for a few years, and it keeps calling me back because it's so beautiful and peaceful.
Have you piloted or been a passenger on Le Boat?
Yes, I've been very fortunate to do many cruises in Europe. So I've been very fortunate to pilot the boat up and down the Rideau Canal. I did a passage last year on the Trent Severn, as well as I've been to 5 of our canals in France. So I've done the Canal de Midi, the River Lot, the Aquitaine, the Burgundy wine region, and Brittany. So love cruising the south of France. You really feel like you're getting in touch with the locals. Driving our boats is very easy. So I was very fortunate to be able to captain it on the historical waterways in France, which is just another very unique experience. And wake up in the morning and hop off my boat, go to the fresh bakery that's a 10-minute walk away, bring back croissants and baguettes for the rest of the day, and enjoy breakfast on the top deck with my coffee, and then doing wine tours and medieval castles in the afternoon. So really love cruising France. And it's a much different experience when you're eating, sleeping, and living on board your own boat versus doing it by a multi-passenger riverboat cruise. So really get to sit back, relax, set your own agenda, decide what you're going to do that day, what you're going to see and do. So very, very fortunate that every year I get to do a different canal. And this summer, I'm actually going to be experiencing our Thames River cruise in the UK, and I can't wait.
That all sounds dreamy. I'll be on the French waterways this summer. I'll be taking my first river cruise. I suspect houseboating is similar to river cruising, right?
Yes, it's very, very similar, except for you're on the inland waterways. You're not on the big transport waterways. So you're not on the waters with the big cruise ships. So it's much more quaint experience, much more off the beaten path. You get to moor up next to a medieval castle. So unlike being on a river cruise where sometimes you have to get bused to your sightseeing that day, being on your own private cruise, you're able to dock very close to what you're doing and then just lock up your boat like you would a cottage and hop off and go into town. So much different experience, I think, than being on a pre-organized river cruise, which is also lovely.
Well, I suspect my listeners are anxious to hear all about Le Boat. You've actually whetted our appetite because you've already said some wonderful things about Le Boat. So tell us all about Le Boat.
So Le Boat's been in Europe for more than 55 years. So this year we're celebrating our 55th anniversary of being in the private boat rental holidays. We are the market leader in France with a fleet of over 950 boats. And we do canal cruising throughout Europe, which includes London, the UK, Scotland, Ireland, Amsterdam, Belgium, Germany, Italy, and new is Canada, and the Rideau Canal and the UNESCO World Heritage. So as you mentioned in your lead up, you don't need a license to drive a Le Boat. I would liken the whole experience to an RV experience. So you eat, sleep, and live on board. You get to drive the boat yourself, and you get to set your own itinerary and see and do what you want each day. Decide if you're going to have lunch on board or decide if you're going to go into town and eat at a local restaurant. So there's lots of opportunities, 6 nights or a short break, which is 3 to 6 nights, or you could do 7, 10 plus nights or longer. So very similar to renting a car. You pick it up at one of our bases and you can do a return trip, or you can do a one-way on the canals and leave it at a different location. And then you don't need a boat license. So when you check in on the first day, similar to doing a car walk around or learning how to drive an RV, our team takes you through an in-depth training session. We give you a driving lesson. We teach your crew how to operate the lines and tie a dock line, walk you through the safety features, and then we even take you for a driving lesson. So you learn how to park the boat, turn the boat around, moor the boat up on the shorelines, as well as teaching you navigation and helping you with your trip planning. So you have your week planned out, so you know where to go, where to moor, where to stop for the duration of your cruise.
Now, for listeners who might be boaters or might be familiar with boating, and I'm not, tell us about the dimensions, the sizes of the boats you can rent. So
in Europe, we have a fleet of 42 different models to choose from, ranging from budget, comfort plus, and premier. So our budget and comfort boats are just older boats in our fleet, but they're still lovely to sleep on and get upgraded. And even a couple of years ago, we did a whole refurbishment of some of our fleet of boats. So they're still very comfortable and have all the luxuries of home. So all of our boats do come with bedding, linens, fully equipped kitchen, tea towels. So you really just need to pack your bathing suit and pick up some groceries, and then you're all set for the rest of your week. And our boats range in size from 32 feet all the way up to 47 feet or 49 feet. So depending on whether you want a 1-bedroom boat, we have 2-bedroom boats, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, and 5-bedroom. And many of our boats have multiple bathrooms and showers. So if you're on our Premier and Comfort class boat, then you do have your own bathroom and shower in every single cabin. So if you are traveling with family members or teenagers, you're not sharing your bathroom with other people. So you have your own private bathroom in your own cabin. Boats come with 2 helms, so you can drive from inside or outside. 90% of the time, you will probably drive from the top deck because you're under an umbrella or a bimini and you want to be outside. But if the weather does rain or turn a little bit chilly, you can drive from inside. So all of our boats come with a fully equipped kitchen. So that comes with a refrigerator, a 3 or 4 top burner stove, as well as an oven. And all of them also come equipped with a microwave. It comes with your tea kettle, your French press, so you can make fresh morning coffee. It comes with all the pots and pans and dishes and corkscrews and serving platters. So as she was mentioning, it does come with all the amenities like you're renting a cottage or renting an Airbnb. So you won't need any additional utilities while you're on board. Comes with serving dishes as well as cheese grater. So they really have thought of everything and thought about if you were making breakfast at home or making a big dinner at home, what would you need? And then on our premium models, we also have a top deck barbecue. And for our budget and comfort class boats, we can add on a barbecue for you. So it's nothing better than sitting outside in the evening and making a fantastic barbecue on the top deck, enjoying the wine that you just bought at the local winery, and cooking up some of the burgers or steaks that you might have just picked up at the local farmer's market or local butcher.
I suspect a couple of the listeners are curious about this. Can they bring their own barbecue?
No, because of safety reasons, we do have our own barbecues that we put on board that secure safely to the budget and comfort boats. But in Canada, if you want an additional barbecue, the Canada lock stations actually have barbecues as well at some of their lock stations. But in Canada, we only have our premium fleet of boats, which is the Horizon Cruisers, and they all come with a built-in barbecue.
So Canada is, now maybe I misunderstood you. You're saying in Canada, all of the boats are of the premium class?
Yes, because we just opened our Canada base 8 years ago. All of the boats are custom built for the Canadian waterways. We do have the Horizon class fleet in Europe, but because they're shipping boats over from our boat builders in Europe, they're shipping us all brand new boats versus used boats. So they're custom built to Canadian safety standards and North American power. So if your customers are looking at going to Europe, they just need to remember, just like a hotel room, they do need to bring a power adapter or a plug adapter so they can plug in their North American prong into a European plug. So no different than if you were staying at a hotel. So all of our boats in Canada are the Horizon fleet, but in Europe we do have budget, comfort, comfort plus, and premier class boats.
Okay, so maybe she wasn't being facetious about the kitchen being nicer than her own, because she definitely rented in Canada.
Okay, then she would have been on the premium boats. But our inventory on all of the boats is consistent. So whether you're on a budget boat or whether you're on a comfort class boat or a premier boat, you would have all the same equipment on every boat across our fleet. So no matter what boat, you're going to have a fantastic time.
Canada. Talk about the locations and highlights of renting a LeBoat cruise in Canada.
Okay, so in Canada, we opened 8 years ago. When LeBoat was looking at where they wanted to expand to, they actually did a survey out to their database of past customers for the last couple of years. And Canada came up as one of the number one destinations that their past customers wanted to go to. So when we investigated what the best canals would be in Canada, we opened up on the UNESCO World Heritage Rideau Canal. It's 202 kilometers, or I believe 322 miles long, and it is bookended by the capital city of Ottawa and Kingston, which is a historical military town. So it's a really fantastic waterway where there's wineries. You have the capital city that has fantastic festivals and events and music and food. You get a mix of cruising in Canada's great outdoors, open lakes, winding rivers, protected wetlands, see tons of bird populations as well as multiple wildlife. And as you know, our waterways in Canada are very clean and pristine. So on those hot days, you can easily jump in the water and go for a swim. We can also equip the boats with a bike, kayak, or stand-up paddleboard. So if you do have teenagers on board, there's lots of water sports that they can take part in. And then we recently just launched that we're opening on the Trent Severn Waterway, which is located an hour and a half from Toronto International Airport, and it is located in Peterborough, Ontario. And the Trent Severn is actually twice the size of the Rideau, and also has some fantastic opportunities to visit some big cities, small towns like Bobcaygeon and Campbellford and Hastings, have some unique outdoor experiences on waterfront restaurants, visit 5-star cafes, as well as lots of farmers markets and lots of time enjoying the Kawarthas Lakes area, as well as visiting all the small towns and shops along the way. The new base in Peterborough is actually home to the world's largest lift lock. So that's one of the key highlights. And opening in May in 2024 is also Canada's Canoe Museum, which is another great attraction where you can park your boat and then walk a few feet, and then you're right at the base of Canada's Canoe Museum. So really lots of great activities, no matter what age you are or how many people you're traveling with. Every day is different, and there's always something for everybody.
So that new location near Toronto, did you say that's coming, or it has opened?
It's opening on May 17th. So our grand opening event is opening on May 17th. So we have a fleet of 8 boats to start on the Trent Severn Waterway, and we'll be adding to our fleet every year as the cruising ground gets more popular. So we're super excited to be opening this season. All of the Canadian waterways are operated by the fantastic team at Parks Canada. So all of the locks are opened and manned by the Parks Canada team. And then if you ever have any questions while you're cruising, we do have a call out phone for the base team. So you can ask them questions. They can help you if you have any concerns while you're cruising, or if you need directions, as well as the Parks Canada team act as a great concierge. They'll tell you what their favorite restaurants are and what are the secret gems on the canal as well.
About pricing, can you talk about like a range?
Yep. If you're looking at doing a cruise in Europe, because we have such a huge fleet.
Lisa, let me first talk about Canada, because I have a follow-up question that talks about Europe.
Okay, well, in Canada, our trips start at $2,800 for a 1-week trip, either on the Rideau Canal or the Trent Severn Waterway. Our prices in Canada are a little bit more expensive than some of the trips in Europe, because we only have a fleet of 32 boats, and we only have our premium class boats. So, but if you're on a boat that sleeps up to 5 people and you're splitting $2,800 between everyone, it's still a very, very affordable trip.
And how long would that example, the $2,800 for a group of 5, how long would they have that boat?
That would be 7 nights sleeping on the boat, so a 7-night trip.
Wow, that's pretty good for a 1-week cruise when you split it among five people. Yeah,
and then the price does vary depending on the size of the boat. So whether you have a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, or 5-bedroom boat. Of course, a 5-bedroom boat would be more expensive than a 2-bedroom boat. And then we also have seasonal fluctuation as well. So a trip taken in the first week in June, which is low season, would be a little bit cheaper than doing it in peak, which is July and August. So you just have to visit our website to see what the pricing is, or give our sales team a call and let them know what your budget is. And they'd be more than happy to make a recommendation on what days are best or when is the best time to travel based on your vacation time.
Sure. Okay. So let's shift and talk about the locations and highlights of the boat cruises in Europe. And I know you mentioned the locations earlier, but it's kind of fast. So where can you do this other than Canada?
Okay, so in Europe, France is our number one cruising ground. So in France, we actually have 9 different cruising regions. So our top 5 cruising regions in France includes the Canal du Midi, the Burgundy wine region, Brittany, the Aquitaine, and the River Lot. But we also do a couple other different destinations as well. And then Scotland, Ireland, and the UK is another popular cruising ground as well. And then we also do Amsterdam. So you get to cruise yourself through the Netherlands and cruise yourself through Holland and be on the open waters and cruise past fields of 100,000 tulips in bloom, as well as the traditional windmills, and then go shopping and hop off. Another big cruising ground for us too is Belgium. And then we also do Germany and Italy. So I always think that you feel like a movie star if you're cruising yourself into Venice and do Murano and Burano. So beautiful cruising ground in Italy as well.
Well, I have a lot of listeners in Europe, so I know that there's some folks who are a lot closer to Europe than that are to Canada. Is the pricing in Europe on par with the pricing you mentioned in Canada, or do you need to say something about that?
So it is on par if you're taking Horizon Cruiser, but because we do have comfort, budget, and comfort plus boats, as well as premium boats in Europe, we do have varying pricing. So if I look at my pricing as of today, the Canal du Midi starts at just US $879 for 7-night cruise on the Canal du Midi.
Oh, wow.
If you're interested in doing Ireland, we have a sale on right now for Ireland, and you can cruise for 7 nights from as little as $539 American. And then looking at Holland, our Holland trips start at just $849 for 7 nights in US dollars.
Wow. Well, I'm going to surmise that you are going to get some inquiries because that sounds wonderful and affordable. Now, look, you were going to say something, Lisa?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think a lot of people think renting your own private boat, you think of it as being out of reach and reserved for people, lifestyles of the rich and famous. But we do have lots of boats available in Europe, and it's much more affordable than you think. So I would say it's very, very comparable, or sometimes even cheaper than renting a hotel or an Airbnb in Europe. And again, you have the flexibility to eat on board. You're not paying for 3 meals a day if you're staying at a hotel. Much more affordable than seeing Europe in other ways.
Now, I like to point out to listeners and potential guests, we are truly worldwide. We're heard in 102 countries. So let me ask, any thoughts, LeBoat, have any thoughts of coming to other parts of the world or even to the U.S.?
Yeah, so it's always on our list to review newer destinations. So at the moment, we're just focused on our expansion in Canada, but that doesn't mean you might not see us in the U.S. or in another European destination in the future. But always looking at expansion and opportunities, that's for sure. But if your listeners are calling from different parts of the world, we are a global company and our websites are available in multiple currencies. So we also are available in Canadian dollars. You can buy in euro, you can buy in pounds. So if they go to leboat.com and they're currently sitting in a different destination, they will be rerouted to the proper currency. So you don't have to worry about paying exchange rates. You can pay in, like I said, multiple currencies on our website as well.
Well, you just alluded to it, but for some specifics and listeners get a piece of paper and a pen, how can listeners get some more information about Le Boat on the internet and social media?
So if you want, you can visit us at www.leboat.com. And there's all the information on there. I recommend you signing up for a newsletter so you stay in touch on our current offers, our flash sales, and any new specials and promotions we might be running or contests. We're also available on Facebook under Le Boat Vacations, or you can call our sales team at 1-800-734-5491. Or as I said, visit our website. We have direct links to our telephone number as well as how you can contact our team by email if you do have any questions.
This is great, Lisa. This is I like to think that we cover cruising here at the Joy of Cruising podcast in all its diversity, and in terms of types of vessels, types of destinations, classes of cruises, from your mainstream mega ships to your ultra luxury barge cruising, and so now we've added houseboat cruising, and I am so glad that we have been able to add something new to the portfolio of cruising that we cover. We usually end an interview with a couple of fun cruise questions, but since this is about Le Boat, we won't ask our typical questions, which tend to deal with mega cruises. Instead, let me ask you, Lisa, do you have a fun or memorable or touching Le Boat story to talk about?
I would say it is a fantastic multi-generation cruise. During COVID, it was very touching to see we were available to offer staycations as the pandemic was ending, and we had some fantastic multi-generation families travel with us. So grandparents, their kids, and sometimes they saw their grandchildren for the first time after lockup. And then that was just really, really touching to see family reunions come together. We have quite a few people who are meeting family and friends in Europe as well. So they might be coming from different parts of the country, and then they do a multi-friends and family trip on board and meet at one of our bases in Europe. And one of my favorite memories of going to Europe as well is visiting a winery, and then in the afternoon visiting an oyster shucking farm as well on the Camargue. So the Camargue is very well known for fresh oysters. They produce fleur de salt, and they have fantastic wineries as well. So really exciting to learn how to shuck my own oysters in the south of France, and in the evening sit on our top deck with our oysters, watch the sunset, drinking our fantastic French wine and some of the other flavors that we purchased at the farmer's market.
Mm-hmm. I'm so glad that you mentioned the COVID shutdown, because the individual I mentioned in the introduction, that's when her friend, and it was so what's the right word? Well, I use the word we already used, touching, that she could get together with her family or in Canada on a Le Boat vessel, and And she is truly a world traveler. She's gone to Antarctica many times. But she saw fit to do this and vows to do it again. And listeners, in addition to the information Lisa gave you about contacting LeBoat, you can read about Traveling Judy's, read in detail about Traveling Judy's experience on LeBoat, and the website for that is in the show notes.
Judy also brought her dog. So just for anyone who is traveling to the region by car, we are pet friendly. And I remember Judy's beautiful white dog. I can't remember what breed he is, but she brought her dog along, and really great to see, like, the dog is a member of the family or pets. So we have people bring their cats on board as well. So if you are coming by car and you're doing one of our Canadian destinations from the US, you can bring your pet, and all of our boats are pet friendly.
Oh, that's great. So you remember Traveling Judy?
Yes, I remember Judy for sure. So she was lovely, and I believe she traveled with her daughter and her husband, and they had a wonderful time cruising on the Rideau Canal, and we look forward to welcoming them back this year as well.
Great. Well, I'm sure, I hope Judy is listening. I did mention to her that I was reaching out to LeBoat, and so she'll be thankful for that little plug. Lisa, it is so good to meet you virtually. Thank you for coming on the Joy of Cruising podcast and turning our listeners on to yet another dimension of the cruise experience. All the best to you and LeBoat. And as I said, maybe I'm giving ourselves too much credit, but I got a feeling that you're gonna hear from some of our listeners.
That's fantastic. And we look forward to welcoming you and everyone on board this year on LeBoat.
All right, Lisa. Thank you so much. And as they say, well, I usually, a discussion with, we'll see you on the ocean, but I'll change it this time. As they say, we'll see you on the river.
Great. We look forward to seeing you too.
The Joy of Cruising and Cruising Interrupted, each $16.99 plus shipping, and new release, The Joy of Cruising Again, for $18.99, can be ordered at the link on thejoyofcruisingpodcast.com. For each of the 3 books, use the discount code Joy of Cruising Podcast and get $4 off. The Joy of Cruising books are also available at Amazon. Order the ebook at Amazon or your favorite online retailer. Stay in touch by joining the Joy of Cruising Podcast Facebook group or following the Joy of Cruising Podcast on Instagram. We're constantly adding new shows. Please leave a review and tell a friend about us. We hope you enjoyed this brief escape to the ocean. See you next week.